Welcome to the KeeKee's Big Adventures Family Travel Podcast, here to help inspire and plan your family's next big adventure. KeeKee's Big Adventures all started with the award-winning picture book series starring KeeKee, the globe-trotting cat, exploring the world's diverse places, people, and cultures. I'm Shannon, the author and creator of KeeKee's Big Adventures. Moms and families love the books and asked for help planning their own adventures, so the podcast was created to help. Adventure awaits! I'm so excited to have today's guest on. She has some wonderful vacation adventures and will certainly inspire upcoming adventures. Welcome to the podcast, Monique.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I have the biggest smile on my face because I'm just so excited to be here with you. What a journey you've been on. And I'm trying to think of when we first met and how our paths crossed a lifetime ago. But to see your big adventures that you've been on, what an inspiration. And so for you to have me on your show is just such a great honor to talk about one of my favorite things, besides wine, of course.
Yes, I know, exactly. Thank you so much. We are going to get all into that. First, before we do, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that's such a loaded question. I always say, which version do you want? I've been around so long, you can't get rid of me. I'm like a cockroach. My name is Monique Soltani. I'm the founder and host of a show called Wine TV, where we get to the heart of wine regions around the world. We currently air in distribution with CBS Bay Area in the West Coast markets in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and Sacramento, which has been a big win for our show this year. Been around for a really long time, covering food, wine, and travel for probably 15 years now. My background before that was in TV news. So what I love about wine is how it brings people together. And what I love about our version of the show that we have this season and last is really about community, about connecting, and about coming together. And what better way to come together with someone when your boots on the ground in their region, in their community, and really get to know them. So that's what the show's been about. Wine is the through line, but it's really about community and connection.
It's fantastic. Monique and I met, I want to say back in 2010. So it had to have been when your show was starting. I was a wine blogger going to conferences and I got to meet Monique. So I followed you ever since too, and all of the wonderful things that you've been doing. And now you also have two little girls.
I'm coming to find out they're not so little. It literally just hit me like a freight train or an elephant on my chest when I realized my little girls are 9.5, and they always say the days are long, but the years go fast. And when I had 3-month-old infants, I thought, when's it gonna go fast? And now I'm like, somebody stop the train. How much more can I get in before it evolves into something else? I'm super proud of what I've been able to do with those girls. They are the love and light of my life. I asked them a question. I'm reading this book. It has to do with 5 types of wealth. It's not about money. It's about how you spend your time and some other things. And one of them was about parenting. And up to 10, you have this magical time with your kids. And so my daughters are 9.5. And I looked at them and I said, can you think of a time where you wish I showed up for something and I didn't? And they both looked at me like I was kind of crazy. And they said, why are you asking us that question? And I said, well, it's an exercise for the book. Well, kind of wasn't, but I was just more curious. Right. And they said to me, independently, they both answered, I can't think of a time where we wanted you to be there for us and you weren't. And so being a single parent, losing their dad to colon cancer in 2019, losing my husband, that was pretty meaningful to me. To feel like I've been able, at least in the first 9.5 years, to be there for them has been super meaningful. And to be able to still pursue the show in the way that I want to pursue it has also been meaningful. So it's been a long road since we first met in 2010. Yeah. And I'm just honored to still be here and to have adventures with my daughters in this new way and to talk with you about you and your show and what you're up to.
It's been so great to see the girls grow up. Monique is out there having some really great adventures, including 2 that she went on last year that we're going to talk about. So let's start with, I've never had anyone on to talk about the Disney cruise. So let's start. You went on a Disney cruise last year.
I did, and I'll start by saying I paid full price for everything and I booked last minute. So let's be clear, there's no Disney plugs, okay? So There's no plugging. There's just full payment parent here. and probably too full because I booked last minute. Anyways, when I start looking about traveling alone, the way I do as a single parent, and I'm sure some of your audience members can relate to traveling alone with children, it's really the only vacation I take. And so I want it to be for them. But when I realized I also want it to be for me. And so when I think about how I plan our family vacations, I really think about that. I think, okay, what's going to be fun for my daughters, but what's also going to be fun for me? I happen to love Disney. That is probably unique, but there are some Disney adults out there. When you grew up in Southern California, you love Disney. And I've always wanted to go to Alaska. And Alaska seemed like one of those places that seemed hard for me to navigate alone. I've done Europe and I've done a lot of these things, but I thought, I want to do Alaska. I want to see Alaska. And I thought a cruise would be a really great way to do that. And Disney, of course, knows how to make it fun for everyone. So I did book the Disney cruise to Alaska. I ended up having to miss one day of school, but I think it was worth it. Meaning I booked a little bit later because maybe your audience would be interested in this, depending on when you book and how you book and the times off and the prices vary, right? And so again, had I booked earlier, probably would have got a better deal, but the way I was shooting my show and the rest, I didn't want to lock myself into anything. Here's the thing, there's so many steps and you're managing everybody's happiness. This is what I've realized. I'm constantly negotiating everyone's happiness, including my own. Right. And so try to get through each step. Okay, I got through that one, done. I got through that one. So this one involves 2 steps. One step flying to Canada, the other step getting on the ship.
So you took it out of Vancouver?
Yeah, and I did the thing that everybody told me not to do because I am also frugal. I didn't want to spend one night in a hotel. So I booked the flight the same day as the cruise. And I see her face. Shannon's like, oh my gosh, what did you do? And I thought, well, if the universe wants me to be on this, then we're going to do it. We had plenty of time. It was just so magical. And I think what I appreciated about this adventure was, one, I thought it was great to do by cruise because you could see the beauty and bounty of Alaska. And I don't know, Shannon, have you been on an Alaska?
I have not. I haven't been to Alaska, but I have heard so many people say it's such a great way to see it.
Yeah, and it was such a magical experience. I didn't know what to expect. I thought, I just want to keep this simple and I want to see the things. Now, those Disneyers know that they booked that stuff so far in advance. All the Disney experts had a lot of the stuff already booked. So there's like a husky thing we didn't get to do and some other things, but that's okay. I booked what I wanted to book. And one of them was whale watching. The other was a rainforest hike and some other things. And on our first adventure out, what I learned from one of our extremely qualified tour guides, he was incredible. He knew all the things he knew about whales. And what he had said to us, what was unique about Disney is they make sure everyone's excursion is just a little more magical. So they'd have the timing different. So he said normally there'd be like 12 boats out there looking for whales and we were pretty much the only one. Some of these things that I didn't realize that do add value, super knowledgeable. He said to us that we may or may not see whales, and the way Alaska law goes, you can't get within a certain feet of the whale. The whales have to come to you. And we had so many whales come to us. They went under the boat. I mean, he said in his all the years he'd been doing, he'd never seen anything like it. We had baby whales. We had all a mom and baby. It was super magical.
That's
it was
so cool.
It was if Mickey put some magic dust or Tinkerbell came out there. What I love about Disney ships is they do the entertainment that is just Broadway-caliber. We love to go to shows. We love that kind of stuff. And the actors, they're very good actors. They're Broadway trained. And so you get these Broadway-caliber shows, which is, in my opinion, equally a part of the adventure, right?
Absolutely.
So, what I think I learned from this cruise, that's the kind of big first cruise I've ever done. I did a little cruise, but...
And this one was how long? 7 days?
7 days, yeah. Okay. What I realized about, at least for me, traveling, the one thing, if I want to talk about a downside, aside from the expense, of course, this is, bucket list stuff here. But what I really love about traveling to different places is that morning coffee in a location, whether it be a bed and breakfast or that evening dinner. Given that I cover food, wine, and travel, those were the things that we didn't really get. So you're not going to get the taste of the authentic cuisine when you wake up in the morning or at night. You're going to get the Disney food, and which I think is wonderful. But if you're looking for that aspect, you don't get that. You can go in and run into town when all the other cruise ships are there and it's crowded. Would I recommend it, the Alaska cruise? I would. The magical whales, the beauty of Alaska. We hiked and did a rainforest thing. I could have spent more time in there. I could have spent a couple of days. So you just just don't have the breadth of time to understand the community like you would if you were on your own adventure. But I didn't have to think about anything.
Exactly. And so did the girls enjoy it?
Oh, off the charts. I'm also crazy, Shannon. So it was their birthday present. So their birthday is August 4th. And they told me, this is what they said: we don't want anything for our birthday. We have too many presents. We don't want anything. I said, okay, nothing. Do you want a party? No, we don't want a party. We don't want anything. We got a cat last year. That's it. We don't want anything. No party. Okay, nothing.
Wow.
They want nothing. So this was also going to be our vacation for the year. So I just chose not to tell them. And the cruise took off the next day, which was the 5th. So it's so funny because they woke up on the birthday and the magnitude of what they told me had hit them, that they really wanted nothing. And they're like, oh, so it really is nothing. So what I had planned was I had that Mickey and Minnie were going to call the house at 6 p.m. to say you're going on a cruise tomorrow, because they'll do that. You can have Mickey and Minnie call the house.
Really? That's so cool.
So like we have a house phone, the landline. I had them scheduled to call at 6 p.m. But then I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be a long day. So I had them to call at 9 a.m. I wrapped up random things in boxes, like a printout of a ticket. It was just like random stuff.
Right.
And then at 9, Mickey and Minnie called and told them. And so that was a fun way to do it. I try to make things a little more magical. So
that's fantastic. So they loved it. They had a great time.
Oh, yeah, they did. They loved it. It wasn't too crowded, which is shocking. But again, I think it had to do with the time of when I booked it.
That's actually close to the end of the season for Alaska.
It was,
summer,
yeah.
So
I looked up the weather patterns, and because you don't want to get seasick. The weather was perfect. It was actually 70 degrees. I had winter coats and stuff, but it was hot. So it was perfect weather, totally great experience. I think they knocked it out of the park.
That's fantastic. And then what was the favorite parts for the girls?
Oh, the whale watching and the rainforest hike. So we did a rainforest hike where they got to learn about nature, which they really love.
So clearly a great birthday present, a great family vacation.
And we did the thing that I say I'm never going to do, which is the photo shoot. So they lure you in with a free photo shoot, free in quotation mark. And I had this happen to me once in Hawaii, the free photo shoot. And it's not really free when you get to look at the pictures and get the bill. And this is, I think, a pro tip if you do want to do it. I said to them, no, I don't want to do it in the studio, because to me, the studio meant I could do it anywhere. Why would I do a photo shoot in a studio? Let's do it out on the ship. And they were resistant, but they said yes. And so we booked this photo shoot for 30 minutes out on the ship. Literally right when we got off the plane, my daughters did the Disney Princess Magic thing where they got all pretty. And I just threw a dress on. And oh my goodness, they go, okay, do you want to do the viewing? And I go, sure. Literally the best photos of us that have ever been taken in our lives, right? We can't even believe it. That if you look on my social media, you'll see them. Worth every penny. We're never going to look that good again.
Yeah, they are fantastic pictures. So then fast forward a few months. I think this is also a magical adventure in a different way. But you all went to New York City over the holidays.
Yes, that was a different kind of magic, a New York City magic. So we hadn't been to New York. My now 9-year-old daughters have been obsessed with Home Alone, like I think a lot of kids, for the past 3 years. And so probably now they're on to me because they said they didn't want anything for Hanukkah or the holidays either. So I thought New York is magical at Christmas time, right? It's off the charts. I lived there in my early 20s. So we all know about the magic of New York City. I decided to do another surprise. This time I booked well in advance, and I'm very glad I did. Some of the things that I booked in advance, I never would have thought I needed to book so far in advance. But one of them was tea at the plaza. I don't want to say lucky because it was intentional, but I was at least 4 months ahead of time. I emailed them and said, hey, looking to Christmas, whatever. And they said, okay, 90 days out, you can book. And, they wanted to go to the plaza because that's where the Home Alone thing. So I made a little note to do my 90 days in advance. I woke up at 4:00 in the morning and I booked the reservation, and they were sold out within an hour after. And then when we got there, this was different than any time I had ever been to New York. they had security and they wouldn't even let you in the plaza unless you showed a reservation. So I'm really glad I did that reservation thing, because you couldn't just walk in and look at the decorations. You couldn't just walk in. And I asked the security guard why, and he said because of social media, people just bombard the place taking pictures and videos. I'm really glad I thought in advance to do that, because we wouldn't have been able to go to the plaza. I have another pro tip. I took them to see Wicked. We did the matinee. It was pouring rain. It was so magical. We loved it. We did the stage door, and the Prince Charming and Glenda signed the playbills, which is
so cool.
Just so uniquely
So New York. Yeah.
And then another thing we did, which I learned about, which I would recommend to anyone, I'm sure everyone knows to go see the Rockettes. We did the Rockette thing. I booked the tickets to see the Rockettes. What I didn't realize was, because of new security measures and everything, it is like you're queuing up at Disneyland for a lot of these things now. Like you're lined up to go through metal detectors. But I ended up booking this backstage tour at, and I don't know if you've heard of this, stop me if you have it, Radio City Music Hall. And I timed it right before tickets, mainly because I'm interested in that kind of stuff. It was, I think, $20. I mean, it was very inexpensive. And you also get to meet a Rockette, which I thought my daughters would like. So I booked it and timed it to an hour before when the show started. So we did this great backstage tour. It took about 45 minutes, really small, like less than 20 of us. So they gave us the history of the Rockettes. We got to meet the Rockette, but then we didn't have to queue up. We were in and they just let us in. That alone would be a reason, because I'd seen the people standing, and I was like, whoa, that was bananas to get in, because it's 7,000 people. Pro tip, that was so great. You could just book it on the website. My daughters loved it. We loved that. That was really great. My daughters were super surprised, but they didn't catch on. What I did for their gifts was I wrapped up 2 outfits, emerald green skirts with pink poofy shirts and headbands. That's a nod to Wicked. My daughter loves snow globes. And so I bought on eBay an authentic Radio City Rockette snow globe, and I wrapped that up. And then my other daughter is interested in fashion and animals and stuff. So I found at a thrift store a picture of a lady walking a dog on Fifth Avenue, like in it with the New York. And I gave them all the presents thinking my daughters are clearly the smartest people in the world. They were definitely put this together. And they were like, oh, thanks. So then I had to tell them we're going to New York. And then we went the next day. So we went on the 26th. And then another thing I did to save money on a night in a hotel, I did a 6 p.m. flight on the Sunday as opposed to the morning flight on the Monday, because then we could still do the stuff we wanted to do, like tea at the plaza and a couple of other things, and then still make the flight and not have to pay for another night in the hotel. And so I would do that again, because at this point, they're pushing close to $1,000 a night now for hotels, depending on where you stay and whatever. We stayed at the Thompson. It was great. I stayed in the Central Park area. Oh, and then another thing we did, which was I did it totally last minute. I actually overheard a flight attendant telling someone, if you want to go ice skating, don't go to Rockefeller Center, go to Central Park.
Yes.
And so I looked online for tickets. And while I looked, they'd said you could have an ice skating lesson. So I booked within 30 minutes. We ran over there. The girls got a lesson and all this stuff. And it was like all included with the thing. And it wasn't crowded, but it was very easy and fun and super magical.
That is a great idea.
I did it totally last minute and it worked out great. And that was pretty fun. We're only there for 3 days. So I used to keep my trips around 3-4 days. After 4 days, I'm ready to go home. I'd like to do Lower Manhattan. My daughters really wanted to go to Lower Manhattan. I used to live in Lower Manhattan, and it just the timing of it didn't quite work out. So I figured when we go again, we'll do the whole Lower Manhattan. And if there's a tip on traveling, you don't have to go everywhere and do everything. Again, squeezing too much in, it's almost like it's a whirlwind and you forget. So I said, okay, this is going to be our touristy Christmas or holiday experience, and then try a different one another time.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing those. Such great adventures and really good tips. So why do you travel with the girls? Why do you think it's important to travel with your kids?
Well, it's such a complicated question. I didn't grow up traveling, and to be honest, I never took a vacation my whole life. All I did was work. I didn't know any different. I met my husband in 2010, and his great love, I'd like to say, wasn't me, it was travel. So he had a real thirst for travel and adventure. And I've always been a homebody, believe it or not. And so he really brought that to me. and I want to give them that gift. And so I believe you can go your whole life and not travel, and you have a wonderful life. But if you do have the opportunity or the resources, it's a great gift to give your children, if you're able, to help them experience something different cultures, different people, different cuisines, and try and experience different things. You know, if I'm able, which I am, to give that gift of travel that I know would be so important to their father, to them, I do. And I think if you have an opportunity, like I look at my show, like if I go to Yosemite, that's a different experience than San Diego. You don't have to go a bucket list. My mom took us on adventures in the way that she could, financially and because of the restraints of our lives. But we still had, quote, adventures, whether we went to Griffith Park Observatory.
And it doesn't have to be to far-flung places. It can be to a different town or city.
And I think at this point in my life, because I don't have that sort of couple vacation, what you would do as adult vacation, I try to negotiate that with the three of us. So I try to strike that balance of interesting to them, but also interesting to me.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
On that note, adventures on the horizon, any new adventures planned for the future?
The big one's coming. The big ones have my palms sweaty over this one. So this summer, don't let my daughters hear your podcast.
Okay, I won't.
We have another surprise.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it.
My daughters turned 10 and we're going to go to London and Paris. And so I went to Paris on my honeymoon. And I thought, as our first European adventure, I'll take them to some of the places their dad and I went. And they love Harry Potter like you wouldn't believe. They've read the first book in first grade, and they've read all seven times. I've never been to London, and so this will be my adventure too. I'm knee-deep in planning it, and what I realized is I actually like doing this. Sometimes you have to balance what do you like doing versus what you don't like doing, and if you like doing it, why outsource it? So I've been spending every day a little bit of time thinking of how I can make it a little unique and special and fun for the three of us.
Right.
So I think we'll do two big Harry Potter things. We'll go to the Warner Brothers studios in London, and we'll go to probably to see The Cursed Child, although I hear that's a whole full day thing. And then we'll do the royalty stuff. We'll do the Tower of London, I think, and then Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
And I've never been, so if you have any advice, I'll take it. And then
book early, book in advance, right? Because they only have that window that they're open. Yeah.
I learned that already. I got the tickets, but I didn't get the extra tour, which I wanted to get. This is already sold out. So that'll be our big trip, and we'll do that over the summer. I'll be able to tell you how this goes. I've not done internationals. I think they'll be okay. I've been traveling alone with them since they were 4.
Exactly.
And they've been carrying their own suitcases since they were 4. They'll be good, but I just have to release the need to control the happiness and the outcome.
Yes, exactly. Well, we've got a ton of resources for you on London and Paris.
Oh, great.
That I'll send you. More episodes on the podcast. Obviously, KeeKee's been to London and Paris. Well, Monique, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so great to talk to you and hear about your adventures. And wow, the next adventure is even more exciting, I think.
Knock on wood, right? It'll be great. You know, what an honor and a privilege for you to invite me to share my story, a little bit about what we're up to. And I'm super grateful for the opportunity. And travel is such a great thing if you can do it, even if it's right outside of your own backyard. So
exactly. And
adventures are everywhere.
Yes. And where can people follow you and find your amazing wine adventures and tips and tricks?
Oh, it's all different depending on where you live. So I'll just give everybody the WineO with an H.TV. You can get everything there. All our handles are the same, WineO TV. So that's WineOH TV. My daughters spell it WHINE, and sometimes we whine and sometimes we whine. So there's no H in the wine part, but there is in the O part.
I love it. And we'll include links in the show notes.
Great.
So
I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for being with us. So good to see you. Thank you for joining us on the KeeKee's Big Adventures Family Travel Podcast. Visit the episode webpage for all the details from today and lots more travel planning resources. We look forward to traveling with you on the next episode. Adventure awaits.